Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Gina, and let's talk about plants. So as you can see, we're in the grow tent today, and I think we're going to be in the grow tent for the entirety of this video today. So what this video is about is I want to show you all of the Hoyas that I'm most looking forward to seeing how much they grow this year. So these are all pretty much small Hoyas. Some are very recently new to me. Some I'm going to show you are brand new. You haven't seen these yet. I think it was last week I got 3 more Hoyas, and like a week or 2 before that I had done an unboxing for all of you, of 3 new Hoyas. Well, I ended up going back to that same shop and ordering 3 more. I didn't do an unboxing, but I'm going to show you those plants. So it's just going to be a Hoya video today. I warned you guys I was going to be doing more Hoya videos this year. That's at the top of my list of things to do. So yeah, and I forgot I have a few upstairs. I did grab, gosh, like 3 or 4 that were in my IKEA cabinet that I want to move to the tent because I want to see how they grow in here, and I want to stick them up on the grid. And yeah, we're going to look at that grid. And I have 2 more. I did order. I told you guys I was going to order more grids because I have this section over here that's open. I could put some grids on there and grow some more Hoyas. So yeah, that is the plan today for this video. All right, so first off, why don't I show you the new Hoyas in my collection, which are right up here. And once again, I ordered these from that shop on Etsy called Hoya Treasures. So I just couldn't help myself. So this first one, this is the Hoya Fitchii. And this one here is one that will be going on the grid. You can see it's got this really long new stem here, and I just see there's another one that has popped out here, which I believe is new since I got this, since it's been in this tent. So I have a feeling this is going to be a really fast grower. Really nice leaves, veiny leaves. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Hoya elliptica, sorta, a little bit. But this one is going to be going on the grid, but currently it is in its little quarantine section. So just to make sure that there are no pests before it goes on the grid. So it's always good to be safe. Better safe than sorry. So we have that one. And then the next one is this one. This is the Hoya Diptera Splash. A really pretty smaller leaf. I'm not sure exactly how big these leaves get. Splashy, love the splashiness, and it really reminds me a lot of the Hoya Colina, which I have right over here. You can compare the two. You can see why I think they look so similar. Look at that. So this is Hoya Colina, beautiful and splashy. This is the Diptera Splash. And it's not that easy to distinguish between the two just by looking at them like this. I'm sure maybe the flowers are different. Maybe I can find the flowers for this one, put a picture here, find the flowers for this one, put a picture here, and we can compare. We'll see. I don't know. I don't know if they're the same, if they look similar or not. So we're finding out right now. But love that. This will be going on the grid also. This will be for sale in my shop. So if you're looking for a Hoya Colina, be sure to check my shop because there should be 1 or 2 in there. So yeah, so that's Hoya Diptera Splash. One of my new ones you haven't seen yet. And the next one you guys have not seen yet is Hoya Lithophytica. And this one I noticed it has, see this little shininess on there? So I have sprayed these guys with my handy dandy little DIY bug spray. It has water, rubbing alcohol, peroxide, and 2 different types of soap, a peppermint soap and a tea tree soap. And these have all been sprayed down. And I spray like my syngoniums in the tent here with that. Just because, you know, syngoniums are so prone to spider mites. Just want to keep things at bay in here, of course. So yeah, that's Lithophytica. Maybe I can find a picture of the blooms. I am like all about the blooms right now on Hoyas. I am on the search for new Hoyas, not so much for the foliage, I love silver foliage and I love splashy Hoyas, but I'm also looking for, even if it's a plain leaf Hoya, if it has a gorgeous flower, I kind of want to add that to my collection. So if you guys, if you can think of any that have just amazing flowers, let me know in the comments what you recommend. So yeah, I may have the plant, but hopefully you guys will give me ideas for plants I don't already have. So yeah, so those are the 3 new Hoyas that I just recently added to my collection. Okay, so like I said, we're going to be looking at plants that I'm most excited to see how much they grow this year, in the year 2024. So I'm going to show you the plants, and then my plan is for the following year, a year from now, we're going to come back, we're going to revisit how these plants are looking today. Today is January 4th, 2024. We'll come back January 4th, 2025 maybe, and we will see how much they've grown. So we're going to start off with one of my newer ones, which you guys just recently saw, and this is the Hoya AH074. And this one will be going on the grid. It will be going on the grid. So next year when we compare, hopefully it'll be on the grid, just going crazy and wild. But you can see just how small it is right now. It has only 4 leaves. So we'll see how many leaves it has next year. It's just such a pretty plant. Just love it. And I can already see where new leaves will be coming out. Right at the very tip here. Right at the very tip, you can see the tiny little leaves. So, Hoya AH074. All right, so the next one is the Hoya Rime Splash, which will also be going on the grid. And currently it has 1, 2, 3, 5 leaves. But as you can see, look here, 2 new leaves. 2 new leaves getting ready to pop out that were not there last week. I think it was last week that I first showed you guys this plant. So yeah, that's the next one. Let's see how much it grows this year. All right, so this next one here is the one I am the most excited about to see how much it will grow within the year. And this is my Hoya discipulae. And if you remember, this is the one that I accidentally had it shipped to me first class mail, and it ended up losing, I think it came with 2 leaves. Both of those leaves ended up yellowing and falling off. So I was just left with a stem, but as you can see, we have 4 leaves now. It's coming back strong, and I'm just so excited to see how this one does. This is the one with, once again, this is one that has really interesting blooms. Like what I'm looking for, plants with really interesting or really pretty blooms. So So yeah, and this one is currently, I put it into moss. It either came with moss or I stuck it into moss. I can't remember. But I want to transfer it to soil, but not yet. I just want to give it more time just to be extra. I'm just being extra cautious with this one because it's an expensive one and I don't want to lose it. So I'm going to wait. Maybe I'll wait another month and then I'll transfer it to soil. Yeah, that's the next one. So look how tiny it is. Let's see what it's gonna look like next year. All right, so the next one we're looking at is one that has been it's been upstairs in my office and it hasn't done anything. But it may have lost one leaf. I think maybe it lost a leaf. But I just brought it down here today because I want to see what can happen in this grow tent. So I don't know, I'm a little worried for this one. So this is Hoya clemensiorum. The name's up here. But it's a really large leaf Hoya, really pretty. You can see it got a little bit of grow light stressing upstairs in my office. This will be interesting to see what it does during the year, to look back. Will I still have it? I don't know. I don't know. This is one I have a big question mark with this one. I don't know. We'll see. I'm hoping being here in the grow tent with the high humidity will really help this plant out. So that's Hoya clemensiorum. It's on my radar this year. Hopefully it does really, really well. Such an amazing big leaf Hoya. I'm not sure if I'm going to put it on the grid or not. I think maybe I won't. Maybe I'll set it on the floor here. I have another really large leaf Hoya here, which I've forgotten the name of. It was one of my imports. This one here. This one. The name will be up here on the screen. But maybe I can just set them next to each other. Maybe. I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure what to do yet. But, all right, moving on. All right, sitting on the ground is really hard on the knees because it's just like concrete underneath this grow tent. So there is no cushion. So I have sat myself down on my bucket of soil because I do want to do repotting with you guys today. I was recently asked in the comments of a previous video if I could show how I pot up my plants. So what I want to do is, not right this second, but I gotta grab the plant because this is when I'm excited about watching grow too. So let me grab that plant. So this plant right here, so this is the Hoya New Guinea Ghost. This is my second attempt with this plant because the first attempt ended in a big old fail. And so this is my second try. So this one came to me, it's in sphagnum moss, and it looks like there's some perlite in there with it. So I want to transfer this one to soil, and this one is currently on the grid. I'm keeping it on the grid. It's gonna live on the grid. So we're gonna repot this together. Should we do it now? Might as well, we're talking about this one. So first let's get a good look at it. See how pretty it is? That's New Guinea Ghost. Kind of a thinner leaf-ish, sort of. Not super thick, but it's beautiful silver. Even in like the underneath the leaves, look how pretty that is. Really pretty. So we are going to transfer this to soil. So let me get that all set up. All right, so the first thing I want to do, since this is moss, and I apologize you can't see me, but this is the most important thing, is being able to see this. So when it's in moss, the thing I like to do is make sure that that moss is very, very wet. So I am going to wet down this moss, because when it is very, very wet, it's so much easier to remove the moss from the roots of the plant. So that's my reasoning for that. We're gonna get it really wet. And then we're just gonna pull it out. This is our new container it's going into, in soil in here. Here's the soil here, my chunky, real chunky mix of lots of orchid bark, charcoal, pumice, and then just regular potting soil. So hopefully you can see this okay. So we're just gonna pull away the moss, gently pull it away. If you end up breaking some of the roots, it's not a big deal. Don't freak out about it. I need something to put this moss into here. So it's just, actually I kind of find this relaxing, removing moss from plants. But when it's wet like this, when it's like thoroughly soaked as this is, it just makes the job so much easier. I used to do all of my propagations in moss, and moss is such a great, if you're propagating your plants, if you're cutting up your plants, if you want to make one of your plants bigger and you want to start chopping it up, moss is such an excellent medium for growing roots, especially if you can then place it into a really warm environment and a very humid environment. That is ideal. And if you don't have a really warm place, you can also buy the heat mats, like for your seeds, like if you're growing vegetables for your garden and you want to start your seeds indoors, and they sell those heat mats for that. And the heat really speeds up the process of growing roots or germinating seeds. So this is the roots on this plant look really good. They look really healthy. Sometimes the moss looks like roots, but for the most part you can pretty easily tell the difference between, like this looks like a root, right? Sort of. But that's moss. That's just a part of the moss. And I'm not like super anal about getting every last bit of moss off of the roots, and I've never had an issue with leaving a little bit of the moss on the roots, so don't worry about that. Don't feel like you need to completely clean every last little bit of moss off the roots, because you really don't. It's just so satisfying when you pull off the moss off of these roots. I can't explain it. It just is really, to me, it's like so satisfying. All right, that's how it's looking. You see here's a piece of moss. I can't believe none of the cats have bothered us. They must, oh, you know what? Last time I saw them, they were sleeping together on my son's bed. So that is why. That's why they haven't. I chose like the perfect time of day to do this, apparently, compared to the other times we've been in here where they've wanted to be involved in what's going on in here. So I sure remember this time of day, like always come into the tent at this time of day. So I think that's about as much as I'm gonna take off. So there we are. So now we can pot this one up. All right, so I am gonna grab some of my soil here and fill it up about that much, I think. Yep. And just set the plant right in there, and we're just gonna fill in soil around the plant. The nice thing about using these clear containers like this is you can watch those roots grow. You can see everything that is going on in the pot. And I've recently, well, not recently, but I used to not use the clear containers, and now it's the only thing I will use. I just love being able to keep an eye on things, see what's going on in there, see those roots, see how healthy they look. And you can kind of see right there, I think, right there, the green, the roots right there. You can see those roots. And that is it. That's all there is to potting up this plant, like going from moss, sphagnum moss, to soil. Super easy. So now I'm just gonna, let me put my little name tag back in here. New Guinea Ghost. And we're going to water this plant very thoroughly. These spray bottles here are so convenient to have. If you don't have one, I highly recommend it, especially if you have like a grow tent like this with lots of plants in it. So nice. I just want to, you can really see how much water is like where these dry areas right here you see. And then there's wet areas. It really shows you, like, when you are watering your house plants, you really, really want to really saturate those pots. Ideally, you have a bucket you can drain it into, but because as you can see, it's like not everything gets soaked just from light watering. this is the first time I am doing potting in my grow tent. I have never potted in here. It's actually really kind of nice. I can make a mess and it's not a big deal, because typically I do it upstairs, like on my dining room table, which always makes a mess. So maybe this will be my new spot for potting up plants, maybe propagating plants. It's nice and warm in here. I dressed appropriately. I have a t-shirt today. I think last time we were in here together, I had a wool sweater on. Of course, I wasn't planning to be in here for a really long time, just quickly. But, all right, that is looking very thoroughly soaked. As you can see, we don't have much in the way of dry areas. A little bit right there, but for the most part, we are thoroughly soaked. So now this one can go on back on the grid. So let's see, let's compare a year from now. What will this look like? Hopefully huge. All right, so let me quickly show you a few more of the plants that I am most looking forward to watching grow within the new year. And that would be this one right here. Now it's on the grid. Let's turn so we can kind of see what's going on the grid. The grid. And it's this one right here. And this is a Hoya polyneuria. And this is a variegated Hoya polyneuria. And I'm a little bit concerned about this plant right now. Can see how it looks a bit yellow, especially these two leaves right here. Pretty much, yeah. It looks like I am going to definitely be losing at some point. I'll be losing these two leaves. And I'm not sure why. I don't know. But this one is in pon. So this, I don't know. I'm debating if I want to move, because I have quite a few Hoyas in pon, mostly up in my IKEA cabinet. And I can't decide if I like pon or not. Kind of don't like it. I kind of really prefer having my Hoyas in soil. But for now, we're just going to keep it in here. This plant was living in my Millsbow wide cabinet, and it was getting these yellow leaves like this, so that's why I brought it down here to the grid. So let's see. Will I have this plant next year? We'll keep your fingers crossed that this one will still be with us here next year. I don't know, we'll see. So this is how it's looking now. We'll see how it looks next year. All right, so what else? Okay, so here is another one. A lot of these plants on this grid I'm really excited about, but these are like these are the ones that I most can't wait to see what they do. So this is Hoya walliniana variegata. Very anxious to see what this one does this year. This one's a little bit dry. I need to do some watering of the grid, I see. I noticed since I've switched tents, since I got the bigger tent, I am learning. It's different. It's a bit different in here. Like temperature and humidity is a little bit different from my smaller grow tents. So I'm kind of like, I'm learning like how much more or less I need to water the plants now in the bigger tent. Okay, so what else? Let's see. Oh, so it was brought to my attention in a previous video that I didn't show a close-up of the Hoya Griffithii Splash. Someone was interested in seeing that one. That is what it looks like. a fairly new plant to me, and another one I'm anxious to see what it does next year, or what it does through the year, how it will look next year at this time. That's Hoya Graffiti Splash. Real cute, real nice shaped leaves. Nice and splashy. Oh, and it's, look, 2 new leaves. And that happened in the grow tent. And you can see this one also has like the shiny, has from my spray for bugs. All right, so another one, I'm just gonna turn you to see. This one here, I don't wanna take it down, but this is the Hoya Silver Dollar. Very anxious to see how this one will do. Very slow growing for me. I had this one up in my office and very slow growing up there, so I just recently brought it down here. I think it was last week, and I want to see if it makes a difference being here in the tent. And then this one here, this is the Cannegiana variegated. Beautiful. Let's get you closer so you can really see those leaves. So pretty. Very anxious to see what this one does. This is one of my very favorite Hoyas here on this trellis, on this grid system. Just amazing. And then another one here. This is Hoya nervosa jokel. Very anxious to see what this one will do. Already, since I brought it, this was upstairs, I brought it down to the tent here and it gave me 2 new leaves. So that's exciting. So that tells me it might just be a pretty fast grower for me. So we'll see how it looks next year. All right, so I grabbed this one off of the grid, and this is another one that I'm anxious to see how much it grows. This is the Hoya Nova Ghost, which has been pretty slow growing for me. I don't even remember when I first got this plant. It's been a few months that I've had this plant, but since I brought it down into the tent, I have some new leaves. So very promising. It's a very promising one. I'm expecting it to be pretty big by this time next year. So that's the Hoya Nova Ghost. A really nice silvery leafed Hoya. And I think that is about it for the plants on the grid. I do have a couple that I grabbed from my IKEA cabinet upstairs that eventually I will probably put them on the grid. But for now, they're just gonna sit here. And that would be Hoya VL9. So they were in my IKEA Millsbow tall cabinet, and I want to see what they do in here, what this does in here. So this is another one that eventually I'm going to repot. It is in a fluval stratum and perlite, I think, mix. So I do want to switch that to soil, so eventually I will be doing that. And then the other one that we're going to compare next year, see how it's looking, is the Hoya Lima Splash. Also in the same fluval stratum and perlite mix. So hopefully next year, these two will be looking huge. All right, so I think that's gonna do it. I think we're gonna stop there. It's quite a few we'll be comparing next year. So I really hope you enjoyed seeing these plants And hopefully we have a lot of success through the year, the new year, 2024. And by this time next year, we'll be looking at some massive plants. That's the hope. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I'd love for you to be a part of this community. Hit that subscribe button. And yeah, so I hope you guys have a great week. Thanks for joining me again, and hopefully I will see you next time. Bye.